This is so my grandkids, my grandkids and my great-grandkids can someday figure out who my grandfather was. I'm going to go and do all the other grandparents today, too.
Seymour?
I'm going to go try to find Seymour and try to find Ruth and do all of them.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, I don't know, what should we talk about?
Well,
You had 11. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 7 sisters and 4 brothers.
So that's 11 siblings, 12 in the family.
Yeah, 12. 11 actually. One died in birth.
Oh, really?
Well, we can start when they first came over to America.
Let's do it.
My mother was 18, my father was 20. That was around 1895. And my father was some kind of an artist.
I think you told me once he made, he designed, he'd worked with shoes.
Yeah, he did the perforations. In those days, in England, they used to wear what they call English brogues and browns. And they had little perforation of holes as a design. So my father used to make all those patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And he was only a young kid, he was only 20. So he decided to come to America. So they sold the patterns for $25. And the passage to America was $12 a piece.
What was your father's name?
Samuel George.
Samuel George
And
Weisberg.
my mother was Augusta, or Gussie.
Gussie Kravitz, right?
Gussie Kravitz was her maiden name, yeah.
Wow.
And so they embarked on the ship. Took 3 weeks in the hold,
Down
in the
in
very
steerage.
bottom of the ship. But they had so much fun, my mother used to tell me, every night. They had, there's so many people coming to America. Accordion players, violinists, drumists, clarinet players. There was music all night long. So much fun, and food galore. Barrels of herring, and barrels of pickles, or salami hanging all over hell. But, and the first class, people from the first class used to come down to watch what was going on down in the hold. They were having more fun down there than they were up in the first class. So they get to America 3 weeks later. So you get to Ellis Island, which is actually called Bedloe's Island.
At the time, it was
At
Bedloe.
that time. But it was called Ellis Island, or Castle Gardens. There's 3 different names. Now, on the ship, you know, you get acquainted with different people there. So they asked my father, what kind of work do you do? You know, he told him I was an artist. He said, oh, when you get to America and they ask you what kind of work you do, don't tell them that. They won't let you come in. Because they only want people that can make a living and not be dependent upon the state or the government. He said, what will I tell them? Tell them you're a tailor. Everybody's a tailor. They'll let you in right away. So he gets to America, and they go in there. First thing they do is the doctor checks your eyes. If you have some kind of a disease called trachinoma or whatever it is,
Uh-huh.
they won't allow you to come in.
I remember they used the little hooks in there.
Yeah, they send you back.
Yeah.
But everything went along fine, and they had some friends in St. Louis. That's how they happened to go back into St. Louis.
Did they go straight to St. Louis?
Yeah.
They didn't stay in New
They
York?
didn't stay in New York at all. And 2 young kids, you know, 18 and 20,
Mm-hmm.
on a honeymoon. They were on their honeymoon. And so somebody said, you better look for a job. You know, well, he said, I can't find a job in my trade, you know, artist. So some fellow opened up a tailor shop close to the house where they were living. So my father went in and applied for a job. So the tailor says, well, I'll take you in as an apprentice. But I'll start you today, but I'm going away for a couple of weeks in case anybody comes in. If you get a pair of trousers, you know, or slacks, just pick out the material, take their measurements, you know how to take their measurements, and tell them be ready in 10 days. Can you do that? My father said, yeah, I can do that. No problem. So the guy goes on a vacation, and a man comes in, wants a pair of pants. He used to call them pants in those days. There's no such thing as trousers or slacks. A pair of pants. So he comes in for a pair of pants, and my father says, pick out the material. Picks out the material, and my father takes a look at the size of this guy, you know. Same size as my father. Same height, same width. He says, a pair of pants will be ready in 5 days. Okay, I'll be back. My father, being a pattern maker, you know, he knew something how to do it. So my father took a pair of his pants and slid all the seams and everything and laid it out on the material as a pattern. And he sewed up a pair of pants. By that time, the boss came back. He asked him what happened. My father told him, I just made this pair of pants for this man, you know. You gonna fire me? He says, no, I'm not gonna fire you. Very good piece of work. You can go in business for yourself. See? So my father went and opened up a little store, and he was making pants. And as the years went by, 10, 15, 20 years, my father opened up a big factory. Pants, United Pants Corporation. Had about 200 people.
That's pretty big.
Big. Had about 8 or 10 big pressing machines. And they were making the slacks, pants, by the thousands. By the thousands. They were one of the biggest in St. Louis. So, but after the years went by, and my father's getting older too, the workers were complaining. Oh, first he takes in my my 2 brother-in-laws. 2 brothers married 2 of my sisters.
Mm-hmm. Wait, how did they do that?
Well, one is Jacob Stern.
Wait, you can't have brothers. Oh, 2 brothers married 2, not 2 of your brothers.
No, no.
Okay.
2 brothers married 2 of my sisters.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Their names were Jacob Stern and Nathan Stern.
Oh, how funny.
Married one of my sisters, Sarah, and Thelma.
Not at the same time? Did they have this?
Within a year or 2.
Oh, how funny.
And beautiful family, beautiful people, very talented children. They're all artists.
Do you know them? Have you met them?
Sure.
Are they still around?
Well, sure. Your mother and Debbie went with me to a picnic about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
No, it was longer ago.
Longer than that?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
No.
Really? Just recently?
Just before, while I was going to the doctor.
Oh.
At the Roxbury Park.
Oh, God, I didn't know.
And they drove me over there. And there...
I must have been on my honeymoon.
Could be.
I must have been out of town.
And you would have loved it because you would have seen over 100 cousins.
Oh, you know something? I must have been on my honeymoon because I'd be furious if they didn't take me. Hi, Graham. Hey, Graham, could you do me a favor? Could you turn off the TV in the other room?
It never gets turned on. I don't think it has.
Could you just turn down the volume? Thank you. Thanks, Graham.
There was, Myrna met, she met over close to 100 cousins.
Oh, my God.
Second cousins. Third cousins coming up, the little babies. She took pictures of all of them. Nothing's got pictures of them.
I can't believe she didn't tell me this.
And they had a wonderful time.
Did you, are any of your siblings still alive?
What do you mean?
Any of your brothers and sisters?
I have one sister, Esther, and one brother, Tommy.
Are they living here? Where do they live?
Esther lives in Woodland Hills. She was the youngest in the family.
Uh-huh.
And Tommy was the second. Tommy's 80. And Esther would be 78. And myself. Those are only the three of us left.
It's doing pretty well.
Huh?
It's doing pretty good, though.
Yeah.
That's 3.
I had 12.
Can you name all 12?
Oh, yeah.
Give me their names.
All right. We'll start from the oldest one. It was Tilly, or Matilda. And then there was Sarah. And then there was Thelma. And then there was a brother Eli. And then there was a brother Lewis. And then there was a sister Goldie. And another sister Rose. And then came, oh, I'm in between somewhere.
You're somewhere in there?
I was the 7th.
Okay.
And then it came down to Rose, and then Esther, and Tommy.
That's 10.
That's only 10?
That's only 10.
Well, let's see.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Let's start over again. I'll start over with Tommy, with Esther, and Tommy,
Esther, Tommy.
and Rose, and Goldie, Fanny,
Ah, there's a new one.
Fanny, and Lewis,
Ah, that's a new one, too.
Eli, and Max.
Oh, didn't hear about Max.
I heard about Max. How many is it?
I think that would get all, that's 8. And then you. That's
You
9.
have myself, Tilly, Sarah, and Thelma.
Right.
And that would make it.
Wow, that's all 12.
We had a very happy family.
What was it like living in a house with 12 kids?
It was a very happy family. I'll tell you why. When we first came to St. Louis, we lived in an ordinary area, neighborhood. But as Papa became richer in the business, we took a leap. He bought a house. It's like taking a leap from Boyle Heights all the way over to Bel Air.
It's a pretty big leap.
Pretty big leap. Found a gorgeous home there. A 3-story home with an attic. All white tile with great big massive chillers coming up the front like a southern mansion. With 3 bedrooms on the 3rd floor, 4 bedrooms on the 2nd floor,
Oh, my God.
bathrooms on each floor. Then you had an attic, which you can convert to bedrooms if you wish. And nowadays it would be beautiful because the ceilings were slanted, you know, and that's art decor.
Do you think the house is still there?
Oh yeah, 5068 Raymond Avenue. Paid a tremendous price for it, 1920,
Mm-hmm.
$6,000.
I wish we had in our dreams.
$6,000. It was all white tile, the entire house, all the way around. Had what you call a double lawn. You had one lawn, would go around, you know, lawn would come up about 50 feet,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a little rise, and then you had another lawn for about 25 feet, and then the homes set back in the back. It's like like you see the southern mansions, and on that street, there's only about 3 blocks to Raymond Avenue. On both sides of the street were all 3-story homes. No 1-story homes, all brick. Had a lot of beautiful features to the house. I remember my grandfather, he was 94 years old.
That was your father's father or your
My mother's father.
What was his name?
His name was Kravitz.
Uh-huh.
His name was Kravitz. George Kravitz, I think.
Yeah.
And he lived in one of the bedrooms on the 3rd floor. No, on the 2nd floor. And the old man used to go to the synagogue every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. Right? Now all these kids, we had all these kids going to school, right? Junior high, high school. How are you going to wake them up? So my father was very ingenious. He hooked up a big bell on the 2nd landing of the staircase going down to the first floor. And as my grandfather was dressed and went to the synagogue, as he went down the staircase, he would push that switch and that bell would go off. It sounded like a fire engine. Somebody had to go wake it to turn it off. Meantime, we were all awake. All awake. It was a beautiful home. I can remember very distinctly with my father and my mother. She used to take me to a grocery store that they used to trade to called Tucker's. Tucker's Delicatessen and Grocery. I can remember the name Tucker. And my father would buy, the beautiful part of the home was that in the kitchen, off the kitchen was a pantry. The pantry was about the size of a kitchen. You know, had shelves and cases there. My father would buy 100 pounds of sugar, 100 pounds of coffee, a stalk of bananas, one of those big bags of onions and potatoes, and down in the basement, which was a four room basement, where the furnace was, at the far end, there was a sunken area there, went down about 2.5, 3 feet. And that was a cold storage. It was cold even during the summertime.
Because it was underground.
Yeah, my father had like doors laid on the floor. And the potatoes are laying there, and the onions, and this, and the stalk of bananas on the top, and all this and all. The rest of the stuff, like the flour went into the pantry, coffee went into the pantry. We used to grind our own coffee. And it was a gorgeous home, just a gorgeous home. We had a lot of fun in that house. We had all chores, everybody had a chore. I remember one day.
What was your chore? Remember?
I had to take the ashes out of the, during the winter time.
The fireplace?
No, down in the furnace.
Oh, okay.
Down in the furnace, bring it out to the ash pit, which is the back of the house. Now the back of the house went about 50, 60 feet. You know, the lots were about 200 to 250 deep. We had about 7 different kinds of fruit trees in the backyard.
Oh, wow.
It was beautiful. And I can remember, it was a very happy days those days. Very happy days.
Pre-depression?
Yeah, Papa was a very wonderful man. Never whipped us or anything like that. Mama used to protect us in case something went wrong, you know. And if you start to realize my poor little mother must have been pregnant for the first 25 years of her life.
That kept her busy, I think.
Kept her busy. She would have a baby. The following year, my father would take her for a couple of months on a vacation to a place called Benton Harbor, Michigan. Called House of David. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
House of David?
House of David.
Huh, never heard of it.
House of David was...
A hotel, or what was it?
Yeah, it was a resort. The House of David was a vegetarian...
Really?
Place.
Back then?
Yep.
Wow.
All the men were not permitted to shave. They all wore beards. Young men. They used to play ball with the Chicago Cubs. See, it was right by in Chicago area. So he'd take her there for about a month or 6 weeks for a vacation. The next year they had that baby.
Huh.
And that would be repeated again, huh?
Oh my God. And who took care of the kids when they were away?
Well, by that time,
They were my older
sisters, you know,
Yeah.
and my brothers, and my father always insisted that everybody go to college. In those days, the girls never went to Harvard. They went to business colleges to become secretaries, become stenographers, and things like that. So my sisters went to Brown's Business College, I remember that. And they all became secretaries, things like that. The only one that went to college with my brother Max. He was a pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he had a pharmacy in St. Louis, and he had one out here in Los Angeles.
Really? So he moved out here too?
Everybody moved out here. After my father died in 1924, everything was in a turmoil, and my brother Max had been out to California.
Did the business go with him?
No, my father gave up the business to the employees.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and retired.
The business isn't still going though.
Huh?
The business eventually must have died out though.
It did, because he didn't know how to operate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
The employees didn't know how to.
No, they wanted to form a union,
Right.
and my father said, you don't need a union.
You own the company.
You own the company, you're making more money piecework than you would if you work in union. If you do union work,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll have fights with this guy next to you because he's not working as fast as you are and getting the same amount of money. But see, so there was turmoil there, and the thing went blooey. So my father went to California, and you still want me to tell you?
Oh, yeah.
My father went to California with my brother. He came back to say, my brother went to California first. My older
Which one,
brother,
Matt?
Eli.
Eli.
He came out to California, and then he stayed here for about a month or so, and he came back to St. Louis, and he told my father, he says, "Pa, it is the most wonderful country you ever saw in your life. No winter, no snow, everything is beautiful. The air is so clear, vegetables are, cucumbers are a foot and a half long, and all that stuff, you know." And he says, "I saw places there, they call them courts. You walk into the court, and there would be a unit, 1, 2, maybe 3 units on this side, 3 units on this side, and a big one in the middle. You could buy the whole thing," my father said, Eli told my father, "You could buy the whole damn thing for about maybe $4,000. You could have Sarah in one room, one place. You could have Thelma in another one. You could have Max in another. You have the whole family all together in one place." So my father said, "I'd like to come out and take a look." So he went out there with my brother, came back, and he decided he's going to go to California. But on the way back, he had a heart attack, and he passed away. That was in 1924.
Uh-oh.
So they stopped that deal. But after a year, my brother Max told my mother and says, "Let's all go to California. What are we doing here? You know, Papa's not here. We'll sell the house. We'll all go back to California." So we went to California, the whole family. Took us, not the older brothers and sisters didn't go. You know, they stayed, they were working, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They came out later with their families. But the younger ones went. I remember my mother, she packed a suitcase, nothing in the suitcase but chicken. Must have been 20 chickens in there, roast chickens, you know what I mean? We eat on the train, you know. Because on the train, in those days, took Santa Fe Railway, took 4 days and 3 nights to get out of here.
But your family sure could have used Price Club back then.
Huh?
Your family could have used Price Club.
Price Club, we could have used, oh yeah, we could have used that very well. So I remember we had left St. Louis around Christmas time, snowing and sleeting, cold and miserable weather. We all got on the train, and we put our automobile on the train.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that around a couple of $100.
Now, you hadn't met Sylvia at this time.
Oh no, this was 1924. And took $200 to put the car in on the freight train, on the same train that we're running. About the 4th day, my brother Max and I went out on the observation platform on the back of the train in our shirt sleeves, and we're coming through Fullerton, orange groves.
Right.
And I said, "Jesus, Max, smell these beautiful orange blossoms, and the weather's so warm." It was, you know,
Yeah,
you couldn't believe it, you know. Here you left all the snow, and here's this beautiful weather. Finally, we settled in Los Angeles. I think my mother bought a 4-family flat, you know, one of those apartments, and we all lived there.
Do you know where it was?
Yeah, in Boyle Heights, on St. Louis Street.
Oh, coincidentally.
Yeah, 4th and St. Louis.
That's
Different
funny.
thing. And my brother had the drugstore a block away on 4th Street and Boyle, on the corner. Had a very good practice, very good drugstore there.
That's Max.
Max. Yeah. Max got married. He married a very lovely girl who was an escrow officer at the Bank of America in that area. And that was around 1925, right? I didn't meet Sylvia until, we didn't get married until 1936. So I didn't meet Sylvia until about 1934.
A long time, right in the, almost at the end of the Depression.
Yeah. By that time I was working for a collection agency. And skip tracing and repossessions. During that particular period, none of us, there was 35 of us guys working in that agency, never knew there was a depression.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were paying us $55 every 2 weeks.
Was that pretty good money back then?
Yeah, $55 every 2 weeks. I used to, they had a haberdashery there called Brown's Haberdashery. Gorgeous clothes, very fine clothes.
Was this in Boyle Heights?
No, that was on 9th Street, Broadway. And there was 35 of us guys working there. But you always had cliques, you know. There was about 4 of us always ran together. And so let's go down to Brown's and get a suit. I was about 19. Go over to Brown's, fit us up with a suit, $40, which was a lot of money. We didn't mind paying for it. $5 down, 5 every 2 weeks. No interest. So every 2 weeks, one of the guys would go down and make the payment. We'd give him our money in the books. He'd make the payment, see? Now when we got that down to about, say, $15, $10, go in there, buy a sport jacket, buy some slacks. I got to the point where I had about 10 suits, about 15 pairs of slacks, Arrow shirts. Today you pay an Arrow shirt $25, $30, $3. Handkerchiefs, hand-rolled handkerchiefs, $1 a dozen. Socks, Florsheim shoes, $3.50. You know what I mean? Everything was very reasonable. $27.50 a week went a long, long way. Because if I took a girl to the City Ambassador Hotel for the evening, we each got 2 drinks and danced all night long for $5.
Wow.
Could you beat that?
And you can't even get one drink now. It's $5.
Of course. And in those days, it was just wonderful.
So the Ambassador Hotel was the hot spot?
Oh, yeah. The Ambassador Hotel, they have different rooms. They're called a rendezvous room. And then after a while, you got tired of that. You went to the Sorrento room in Santa Monica. And there was always very excellent places to dance. I used to love to dance. In fact, Red Eisenberg and Joe Levy and myself loved to dance. We danced in a different dance hall every night.
Really?
On Mondays, we'd go to Wilson's Dance Hall, 6th and Hill. Tuesday, we'd go to Virginia Ballroom, 54th and Broadway. Wednesday, we'd go to Stisman. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that place. Saturday and Sunday, we'd be at the beach. You had 3 big ballrooms there. That'd be beautiful. Had a wonderful time. Want to stop for a minute or so?
No, I'm fine, if you're fine. How are you doing, Graham?
Will this look good 50 years from today? Or let's say, hey, look how funny she looks. What was she
Why
wearing?
don't you go take?
I'm gonna do her at Harold's house.
We're gonna go with Harold.
Oh,
Can you,
okay.
can you hang on a little bit?
Yeah.
You sit down and listen,
They
but-
expected us at 11 o'clock.
Well,
Go ahead, I'll be all right.
well, I want to give a call. I want to finish this up though. Why don't you give him a call and tell him we're running a little late? Yeah, yeah, we'll do fine.
Things were so reasonable, so cheap,
Mm-hmm.
and so calm in those days. Nobody got a heart attack.
But they died of something.
No, it's easy living. Yeah, I can remember this. I was working at the collection agency,
Yeah?
and Red came over to the house
Kenny's
You know,
running a little bit late with his
on a Sunday.
grandma.
And one of our tenants was a doctor at the White Memorial Hospital.
Is that okay? Or would that
So-
hold you up?
Red and I are playing tennis back and forth in the backyard,
I don't know.
and the tennis ball gets up on top of the roof of the garage. So I said, oh, I'll go up and get it, Red.
Oh, I want you in it
He
too.
said, gee, take it easy, Leo. He says,
I want you in it too.
there's a window there.
Why not?
Step on the window. Be
Yeah.
sure you don't go through the
No,
window.
it's video.
You know, pull yourself up.
Video going?
So I pulled myself up. I got the ball. I threw it down, and I
I
came
thought
down.
this was a video.
It is,
Oh, excuse
and
me.
you're on it as you're talking to me right
Auntie Bill wanted to know if they should come here or would you go there?
now. We'll be happy to go there. Just tell her.
Carol said to come, go there.
Tell her like 15, 20
Yeah,
minutes. We'll be
okay.
over there.
And I stepped through the window, and I tore my sock on my shoe, on my sock. And Red says, geez, you tore your answer. Blood is coming out of there. I said, I don't feel anything. By that time, the doctor came out from his apartment. He was shaving. He took a look. He says, my God. He says, you ripped a whole tendon Achilles. This whole thing.
Yeah,
I cut it right in half.
yeah.
Is this gonna be a medical history?
Grandma,
I'm telling you, starting
grandma,
I'm gonna tell you about
Grandma,
my seven,
Grandma,
I'm gonna
Grandma.
tell you about my 7 surgeries.
grandma, do me a favor.
Get out of the room.
You will have your time. Go away, be quiet, give us 10 minutes.
He took me over to White Memorial Hospital on a Thanksgiving Day,
Mm-hmm.
1932. And they had to get a hold of a certain doctor in Pasadena, the surgeon, which he was on the staff as one of our tenants, and he promised to come and take care of it. So he left his Thanksgiving dinner and came all the way here to Los Angeles and operated on me. And he sewed my leg up and put the tape there and pulled it this way so my leg would be extended.
Mm-hmm.
And he operated and put it in a cast. And he charged me a tremendous medical bill. $50.
Oh my God.
5 every 2 weeks. as I went in.
Life was a little
Yeah.
easier then.
So I was off work. I was in crutches, you know, I couldn't work. So I said to myself, after I got through with the crutches, I was walking with a cane. That was about 4 or 5 months later. So I'm walking down the street, on Hill Street, and I said to myself, geez, there's Dr. Cowan. I used to call him every day, the girls there, for credit information. You know, I was in credit work, because you never did anything on cash, everything was on credit. So I went upstairs to see 506 South Hill, and I went to the front desk. There was 100 people there. 100 people in the reception room. And I went in the back, there was 32 rooms. Tremendous operation. So I'd like to see Dr. Cowan. What do you want to see him about? It's personal business. She rings back to Dr. Cowan. The young man here wants to see you on personal business. Send him in. So I go in the back in his private office. Very well dressed, good looking man. What can I do for you? And I told him where I was working. said, and I'm not working there anymore. I'd like to come to work for you. Well, you would, huh? I said, you're paying now 50% for collections, aren't you? He says, yes. I said, you turn everything over to the collection agency, right? He says, yep. I'll do all the collections for you, in-house, for 25%. He says, that sounds pretty good. All right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you an office, typewriter, telephone, stationery, stamps, whatever you need. And you go ahead and collect. The first week, I made $100 commission. Man, I went out.
That's a big jump.
I went out to lunch with Red Eisenberg. I told him what he said. Oh my God! He said, "This is as much as we make in 4 weeks." Time went on. Time went on. I collected all the stuff that they had. That time, it came down. My salary came down around about $60 to $70 a week, which is still good, right?
Oh yeah.
And I had a bigger office. By that time, I was taking care of his business, opening credit accounts, arranging credits for the patients, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So you were doing more than just the collections.
Oh yeah, the collections were nothing anymore because I had them all cleaned up.
Right.
And he was very nice to me, very nice to me. And I worked there for an awful long time.
You worked there for almost 30 years or something, didn't you?
And then got married.
Well, where'd you meet Sylvia?
I met Sylvia. Sylvia went to a dance with her brother, Ben. Las Palmas Hotel, wasn't it? Las Palmas Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Jewish dance every Friday night.
The Royal Hotel, and it was Sunday night.
Yeah, Royal Hotel.
Oh well.
Anyway, there was Dave Tolan, a guy by the name of Glick, and another guy, and myself. We ran the dance. Charged 75 cents. Stag. Only Jewish couples. We had a wonderful little orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And there was more marriages consummated at that dance hall.
Well, not consummated, I hope, but found.
Found.
Yeah.
And we would take in after the dance, we'd take in around, after expenses, we'd have about $75 profit.
Not too bad.
Oh yeah, and Ben Rose was one of us. Ben Rose, he went over to the Mar Vista home. You know that one over there?
Yeah.
And he would pick up about 3 or 4 boys, and he would take them down to the make company and buy them shoes and slacks and outfits. Every Monday he would take another 5 kids. It wasn't a profit-making thing. It was just, that was Ben Rose's deal. We'd give him the $75 and you take care of the kids. But we had a wonderful time at those times. That's where I met Sylvia.
Grandpa, did you sound like your friend Red Eisenberg, most of the Red Eisenberg?
Yeah.
Now, where did you met him in the credit when you went to work for the credit?
It's a very interesting story if you want to hear something.
Yeah. Now, tell me he was one of your best friends.
Yeah,
Apparently.
I'll tell you about Red Eisenberg. Red Eisenberg's father had a 4-bedroom home in San Bernardino on Tippecanoe in Central, which was in the middle of nowhere. No, nowhere. Absolutely no place. This big home with 10 acres of alfalfa in the back. And they used to have to cut that alfalfa 8 times a year. It grows so darn fast. And it was expensive and they couldn't get much money for it. And every weekend or every other weekend, about 10 or 12 of us guys from the agency would go out to the house and rent horses in a stable down there for 50 cents a day. And we looked like a posse going over those fields, everything. Had a hell of a time there. So one day, Red's father says, hey, right there, I want you to take all the furniture out. No, put an ad in the paper in San Bernardino. See if you can sell the place, the acres, the house, for $10,000. No buyers. Couldn't get a buyer. Little by little, the community started to build up around this property.
Yeah.
Because Tippecanoe and Central was beginning to become a center of town. So, how was it? Oh, couldn't sell the property. So the young man says, I'll tell you what you do Sunday. Take the boys out to the house, take all the furniture out of the house, put it on the front, put an ad in the paper, used furniture. That Sunday, every strip of furniture was sold to those good. To the Gentile people, they bought everything. The old man said, gee, that's a pretty good deal. Following Sunday, the old man packed up a big truck with used furniture from Los Angeles and drove it out, and he put it out in front of the house, and they started selling furniture. By that time, Red and I were talking, and Red says, you know, Leo, he says, I think I'm going to quit the Crown Finance, you know, the agency, and go in the furniture business. I'll put furniture in the house and furniture outside of the house. Over a period of a year, he replaced the house with a building called White Barn Furniture.
Oh, fine.
And he sold off 3 acres of land. By that time his father died and everything like that. The last time I talked to Red was about 5 years ago. I called him up in San Bernardino, and he said, I just sold the rest of the acreage, you know, he has 7 acres, 6 acres, and the building to Norton Air Force Base, which was about 3 blocks away. You know, they encroached upon the property for $1 million.
Goodness.
Is
he still alive, as far as you know? Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's somewhere in Los Angeles. I'm trying to locate him for a long time. Somebody told me that his cousin owns a pharmacy in a farmer's market, which I'm going to try and get a hold of.
Oh, I'd like to, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandpa, let me ask you a couple other quick questions here, because we're going to have to finish up soon. Going back about as far as you can remember, do you remember your father's name? Samuel George Weisberg's father.
My father's father was, let's see, my mother's was Kravitz. Could be Weisberg.
Well, I assume that's his last name.
Yeah.
But yeah, you never.
Gershon, I think.
No, that was Gershon Kravitz. That was.
Well, my father's too was Samuel George.
Right.
Weisberg. George is really the Gentile name for Gershon.
Did so you never knew your father's father. He was,
no.
He didn't emigrate with your father.
No, but he lived here.
He did?
Yeah, he lived in Los Angeles, but I didn't know him too well. We used to have there were 2 sets of grandparents. My father's mother and father, and my mother's mother and father. My mother's father and mother were smaller people than my father's. So we used to say, we'll go over to Big Zeta's house, or to Little Zeta's house. So Little Zeta was the one that made my tune for me.
No, you said one of your grandfathers lived with you. That was your.
That was my mother's father. He was 94.
Right.
The old man, that old man there was able to, he was a tailor when he was young, and he was able to sew. If you say you got to split your trouser, to show that so close with no glasses or anything that you couldn't find a stitch in it.
Pretty wild.
Pretty well.
Okay, Grandpa, one last question.
Okay.
The hardest question of the morning. I thought this one up on the way over. If your grandchildren, if your great-great-grandchildren watch this video in 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, anything you'd like to say to them? Any words of advice? Any
Yes,
wisdom?
I would say that I wish that they would have as happy a childhood and manhood that I had.
Terrific, Grandpa.
Is that all right?
Yes, thank you very much.
What a video.